Think about what scares you the most. We often picture the sudden, violent pain of death, but death is brief. Imagine instead waking up, realizing you belong to something else entirely, and looking up at 12 eyes filled with suffocating affection. To understand how a mind breaks down and accepts this reality, we can follow a roadmap of the 4 stages used to turn a person into a pet: capture, enclosure, submission, and finally, acceptance. The starting point for this breakdown is beneath Tokyo, specifically a commercial complex that closed its doors and was sealed off from the public in 1972. Local legends suggest anyone who wanders into the haunted Suedo underpass never returns, or comes back babbling about humans kept as pets. A ghost hunting YouTuber named Reo decided to test those rumors, grabbing his camera and heading down the concrete stairs. Near the bottom of the descent, the hard concrete gave way to something soft. The floor felt like spun silk, and the corridor walls were choked with thick, dense white webbing. Pushing through the threads, Reo didn't find monsters. He found an impossible, pristine garden with green grass and a fountain. In the center stood a woman in a traditional kimono. She smiled and welcomed him as a traveler. But as soon as he stepped close, her hand grabbed him by the throat. A sharp, burning pain hit his neck, and everything went black. The kimono and the garden were necessary tools. By presenting a familiar, welcoming face, the spiders dismantle a human's natural instinct for danger before the physical capture even begins. Reo woke up to find his entire reality shifted. He was trapped inside a glass terrarium, stripped of his human scale. He was now just 3 inches tall, provided with a tiny bed, a single droplet of water, and some leaves for food. From adjacent glass boxes, other shrunken humans pressed their faces against the glass, weeping. One of them whispered a warning to him: "Do not try to escape, or they will sever your wings." Then, the sky above his terrarium went dark. A massive, hairy leg slammed down onto his cage. Standing over him was a colossal black spider. Carved directly into its abdomen was the captivating face of a human woman. The creature stroked his head with a gentle foreleg. It didn't speak with a mouth. Instead, it vibrated the surrounding webs to generate a melodious voice directly inside Reo's brain, greeting him and assigning him a new pet name, Pichan. The spider, calling itself Umi, quickly established the rules. When Reo refused a massive piece of fruit, Umi bared its fangs and threatened to bring the doctor for a lethal injection. The captors also enforced daily baths, soaking the humans in a toxic saliva that kept them shrunken and weak. At this scale, Reo's survival is no longer his own. By controlling every calorie and chemically halting his growth, the spiders replace his self-reliance with a total infantile dependence on his master. The manipulation extends into twisted displays of empathy. When an older human in the next cage passed away, Umi didn't consume him. The spider spent the afternoon weaving a specialized silk tomb, gathering morning dew on its fur to mimic weeping. The spiders maintain their supply of pets by infiltrating the surface. At night, they take on human forms and walk the crowded streets of Tokyo, carefully selecting their targets. They operate completely out in the open, pampering humans instead of fearing them. Reo saw an opening one afternoon and bolted from his cage. He navigated through a crack in the underpass walls, breaking out into the daylight right next to a busy Tokyo thoroughfare. He screamed for help, begging the pedestrians to save him. But due to his altered size, his voice emerged as a tiny, high-pitched squeak. An old woman walking by simply looked down, smiled at the lovely little bug, and kept walking. Umi coached from behind. There was no anger, no punishment. The spider gently picked Reo up, pressed him against its belly, and vibrated a soothing lullaby, telling him that pets get lost outside and it was time to go home. When the world you came from can no longer hear your voice, the identity you left behind starts to dissolve. Submission is achieved when the victim realizes there is no longer a self to go back to. 4 long years passed in the dark underpass. Reo continued to shrink, reducing down to a single inch in height, rendering him completely reliant on his captor for basic survival. The emotional bondage deepened. Umi tied a special mood-sensing silk thread around his body. When he felt cold and shivered, the spider would knit him tiny outfits, parading him in front of the others as if he were dancing. Every night, the spiders sit together to work. The entire abandoned underground complex functions as a massive, undiscovered web-weaving factory operating right beneath millions of unaware civilians. As Umi picked him up to comb his hair, Rayo found himself snuggling against its leg. He admitted the grooming felt wonderful. He is actively forgetting he ever lived a human life. Pay close attention to your surroundings. If you ever notice a single pristine white silk thread tied to the door of an abandoned building in Tokyo, turn around and walk away. The finality of the underpass is found in the moment you stop shivering from the cold and start snuggling into the hair of your owner, trading your humanity for the terrifying warmth of being someone's favorite toy.